All right, everybody, welcome back to the Move podcast, talking about 2022's highlights for us. And us, of course, like always, is JB Hager down there in Austin, Texas. I hear it's a little chilly down there. I saw your ice bath yesterday. That looked, that's, a lot of something you just can't unsee those things.
Hey, we're going below freezing later this week, which doesn't happen much in Austin.
No, it does not. And also joined over there in Madrid. The shirt says it all. The boss.
I just wanted to make sure everybody understood and didn't forget.
Oh no, we are very aware. And if anybody is watching the show and just curious about who Johan's picks or highlights might be for the year, then you have your eyes closed. Look, way to surprise everybody, Johan.
Sorry,
Jeez.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And over there in Deal Valley, Utah, by the fire, is Mr. George Hincapie.
Good morning,
George,
everyone.
I'm just curious, are those your ski pants hanging up to dry behind you, or what is going on over there?
Oh, you can see that through the fireplace. Those are my
it's over the window. Are you just letting your ski pants dry out there in the sunlight?
Those are my ski pants.
Those Mormons need to help with the internet over there, Utah.
Yes.
Oh, he's zooming in and out. Wow. I'm Lance Armstrong, sitting here in Aspen, Colorado. A very frigid Aspen, Colorado. It's just terrible. Today's show brought to you by Zwift. This has gotten, I talk about it every week. I'm converted. I refuse to ride indoors. It took Zwift to come along and show me the way. I've been having a blast. By the way, tomorrow morning is We Do Wednesday. We will all, I don't know about you. I don't know if George can make it. I'll certainly be there tomorrow morning. Check this out. 18,000 people have joined We Do on Zwift rides from 70 different countries. That means a total of 141,000 miles ridden so far. It just makes indoor riding fun. By the way, the new Hub Direct Drive Trainer is back in stock and selling like hotcakes. It is affordable at $499. It's a bargain price, but punches well above its weight. Visit Zwift.com for a free trial. Again, that's Zwift.com for a free trial. Also today brought to you by LMNT. This is our go-to hydration source. What I love about this, by the way, this company is so generous. They send me so much product that all my friends are converted to. Everybody's on the LMNT. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, no sugar, no gluten, no artificial ingredients, no BS. It is the real deal. Again, it is our go-to hydration source. Special offer for our listeners. You get a free LMNT Sample Pack. So that includes 1 pack of every flavor, citrus, raspberry, orange, and unflavored. That way you can just kind of try them all, dial in your hydration. No questions asked for refunds. You don't even have to send it back. Give it to one of your salty friends. Head on over to drinklmnt.com/themove and get your free gift with a purchase. Again, that's drinklmnt.com/themove. All right. Like I said at the top of the show, we're talking about and again, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, there's a lot to think about, I should say, for an entire calendar year. There were some, there's some exceptional performances, and obviously a lot of us. What is going on with the zoom in and zoom out? Is your son running the camera, or
I have no idea. That's weird.
All right, well, let's just roll with it. I think we like seeing the Grand Chateau there in Deer Valley. Just it's not surprising. Anyways, so many exceptional performances. We kind of had a hard time picking, but we also, I think a lot of these really stuck out in our collective minds as the rides of the year. So we're going to try to mix it up, not let anybody be a copycat. But Johan, since you are the boss, why don't we start with you, and we'll make this interactive. So guys, just jump in whenever you think. But Johan, what do you got? Give us your top.
Well,
by the way, again,
I revealed it on my background. But
boy, did you not think about that?
Well, I mean, it's not so much about
an element of surprise.
I just want to make sure that I can explain why I think that these are the highlights. So obviously I have Remco winning Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and then Jonas Vingegaard, Vingegaard. So we have to get used to this, Vingegaard. This amazing ride on the Col du Granon, where he, put 3 minutes into Pogacar and took yellow and maintained it. And then Annemiek van Vleuten winning the World Championships with, if I remember correctly, a broken elbow or something because she crashed. The reason why I picked these 3 moments is, first of all, Remco had an amazing season. He won Liège, he won the Vuelta, he won San Sebastian, and he won the World Championships. You could say, okay, Remco winning the Worlds, but for me, winning Liège was kind of, the confirmation of him being really back at the highest level after, his terrible accident 2 years ago. And especially, winning Liège-Bastogne-Liège in the way he won it, going away on his own at the top of La Redoute, where that's the moment, all the big guys know that's going to happen. He couldn't drop them on La Redoute, but he went away on the top of La Redoute and then basically time trialed to the finish with the whole peloton chasing him. I think that was the performance for Remco Evenepoel, and what came afterwards was just a confirmation of what he showed that day.
And for those who just as a reminder, for those who maybe wasn't following the season 2 years ago or just missed it, Remco did. He had a terrible crash. That crash he had at the Tour of Lombardia. This is bike racing. Guys and gals crash in races. This was one of those crashes where you thought that this kid may not live. It was that bad. Essentially falling off a bridge way far down below, and it was one of those ones where you're like, man, you just had to sit there in silence and hope that everything worked out. So yes, to see him come back from that, exceptional. I think the ride from Annemiek too, that was one that was her performance at the World Championships, sort of yo-yoing off the back because of the injury. That was on everybody's list, right? That's Johan beat us to the punch. He got to claim that one, but I think all 4 of us had that ride. I know I certainly did.
Yeah,
you just sat there and you're like, holy shit.
With Annemiek that day specifically, she was in big doubt if she was even going to start the World Championships. The mixed team relay or whatever that event is called. I think it's not. It's a ridiculous event for the World Championships. But anyway, she crashed off the podium, had to abandon there, and then she basically started the World Championships as a domestique, working for the team, closing gaps. And at the end, she was still there. And Annemiek van Vleuten, after such a hard race, she just had that extra acceleration. Nobody was expecting it. So she had a bit of a surprise advantage. But still, I think Annemiek van Vleuten winning the World Championships, but also especially, I think it cannot be said enough. This is a unique athlete. She won the Giro. She won the Tour. She won the Vuelta and the World Championships in the same year. This has never been done.
Right. And that was that's you've stepped over the line. You've just claimed one of my performances. So just pause that. Goodness gracious. This is okay.
Well, it's an open discussion, right?
Right.
Johan, there's no doubt that your 3 picks, I think, it was really tough for all of us to choose. Since you were the first one to put them down, we chose different ones, albeit I'm excited about my picks. But with Remco, we're not only talking about his physical, comeback from the crash, but to come back from a crash like that on a descent where you just kind of slide out on unexplained crash. A lot of times it's very hard for riders to come back mentally. Their descending skills can be affected for the rest of their careers. Clearly, that didn't affect Remco at all, because not only was he able to ride away from guys, he never slowed down any of the descents. So that was very impressive to watch his comeback. With Vingegaard, that one stage in particular, it was almost like a junior race, the way they were ganging up on Pogacar. Super exciting to watch. We were all there in the Lance's basement just screaming at the TV. And then Van Vleuten, the World Championship win, clearly she didn't care about second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth. She just said, I'm going. They catch me. I don't care if I get last in this group. I'm going to do everything I can to win. So this is a very, very exciting 3 picks that you have there.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to our other fearless leader, JB. What do you got?
All right, here are my three favorite moments. And it's more than one with this guy, Binyam Girmay. Wow, good one. Johan told us about him in the Up and Comers show. That was the first time most of us heard that name, and he lived up to the expectations, winning Ghent at Wevelgem and then beating Van der Poel in the Giro, if you remember that. But it goes deeper than that. We've talked about it in the past. The rising stars out of Eritrea and other parts of Africa. Yeah. On the recent trades and transfers show, Johan and Spencer talked about how Ineos is doing some development in Africa, looking at the next 3 to 5 years. So it's big, and it was boundary breaking, right? So big moment, big moments.
No
doubt. My second pick was Tour de France stage 18. That is when we saw Pogačar just completely on the edge and rattled, chasing Vingegaard downhill. And you remember he slipped a pedal, he went into the gravel, and then they basically called a truce. Like, dude, let's stay alive here.
Yeah.
And did the handshake, right? And then Vingegaard ended up winning that stage. But that was just to put him on the limit like that. The composure we've seen with Pogačar, he was completely rattled. I thought that was just a great moment. And my third pick is Jumbo-Visma and Paris-Nice finishing first, second, third.
Yep.
And again, we talked about it in Trades and Transfers, a show definitely worth listening to if you haven't. Jumbo's the dominant team right now.
Right.
That and UAE with what they're recruiting and how they're growing. And, when we saw Sky and Ineos being so dominant for so long, this is that would just put a stamp. Like, this team is unbelievable.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's right. I think it probably deserves a tip of the cap to what began as Team Sky and of course now as Ineos. They raised the level. I mean, they showed the sport what this F1 approach is. What we used to call sort of the Project F1 back in the day, where you literally look at every single thing. There's nothing that's overlooked. This isn't, the old school days of just training hard and maybe once a year in the wind tunnel and be as lean as possible. No, this is every little thing for every rider on the team. You're probably talking about, upwards of 30, 40 riders when you consider the men's and women's programs. So they came along and just took a different approach and Jumbo copied it and UAE certainly did their thing. And so, yeah, it's the whole, and then it's funny, then all the while you get some of these programs that are still riding old school, and you see it. The results speak for themselves.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to get there budget wise too. Maybe Johan can elaborate on that.
It's obviously, I think the dominance of Jumbo-Visma is and having all these results with these young guys is the proof. We've said it over and over again that the sport has changed. I have a little, how do you say
Scoop?
that?
Scoop?
Between brackets, like a little deviation of the subject here about this. It has a lot of advantages. We see these young guys performing really, really amazingly. But on the downside, an article came out this week about a 22-year-old huge talent in Belgium who's retiring from the sport. As a professional cyclist, when he was 16, 17, he was beating Remco Evenepoel and Tom Pidcock. And he is burned out because he is tired of focusing and staring at data. When he was 18, he went to the DSM.
Just hang on, this sounds like bullshit.
No, listen, I think it makes sense. We're going to see more and more of that, but at the same time, I say, okay, it also takes, if you want to be a champion, you have to be mentally tough enough, to endure what's imposed on you by the sport, and there is no other way now to perform than being so focused on data and on power output from a very young age. I mean, George, your son is competing at a high level, and I'm pretty sure that you have to slow him down and say, okay, not yet, this, not yet, this, not yet. But on the other hand, I mean, all the guys around him are with power meters. They are with trainers. And so,
and they have so much more information at their disposal.
Exactly.
They know way more than we ever knew as juniors. But to that point, Johan, with these guys being almost like robots, I mean, I won't say who it was, but one of these new phenom young kids, 18 years old, went to October, November camp. You know who it is, Johan. And those camps are usually you have fun, you ski, you maybe bike a little bit. It's all about the camaraderie and get to know your new teammates. Well, this one kid, he was riding the turbo trainer for 4 hours a day during this camp. 18, 19-year-old kid. And all of these like seasoned pros are like
huge talent.
All these seasoned pros are sitting there watching like this is what our new cycling is all about. Like no more of like having like these guys. A lot of these kids are now robots, so it's really hard to sustain that sort of mentality for a long period.
But then on the other hand, look, I have this. I made a screenshot just before the show of this. Well, you can't. I mean, here it is. This is Alejandro Valverde's year. 42 years old, so he's retired now, but he's still been performing at the highest level. He had 310 days of activity during the 2022 season, which was 21 days less than last year. So last year, the year before, he had 331 days of activity. He did 36,000 kilometers in the year, and he climbed 414,000 meters of vertical. This is old school, and so there's always going to be, these exceptions, the guys who are really good at a young age. But then on the other hand, if you see the career of Valverde, it still works also,
Wow. All right. Well, before we get to George's picks, George, are you ready, by the way? Because you're coming up next. You're coming up next. Today's show also brought to you by HVMN. We can't talk about all these exceptional performances without recognizing that ketones and the use of ketones in the professional peloton are rampant. And we're not, this isn't some taboo, weird subject. It just is what it is. This was a product developed for the special forces. It is absolutely effective. I know everybody on this team is avid users of the new Ketone IQ, which, by the way, was the first drinkable ketone invented by HVMN in 2017. It's interesting. It delivers clean fuel that can cross the blood-brain barrier, supplying your brain and body sustained energy, mental focus, and sharpness. It just is what it is, and the stuff works. We're huge fans. Head on over to hvmn.com. Use the promo code THEMOVE20. That gets you 20% off at checkout. Again, that's hvmn.com, and the promo code is THEMOVE20. Also today brought to you by Athletic Greens. Listen, take control of your health. For less than $3 a day, you can totally own your health. I'm super bad at eating all the stuff that you're supposed to eat. I'm working on it. I'm trying to do better. This might be one of my New Year's resolutions. Doesn't matter. It's not going to change the fact that I take Athletic Greens every single day of the year. If you want better gut health, more energy, this is the way to go. 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. Start your day off just right and take control of your health. Let's make this easy. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is head on over to athleticgreens.com/themove. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/themove. By the way, I just did some blood work the other day just for my annual physical. My vitamin D the doc called me. He's like, what? Do you just like stay in a dark room all the time? I was like, what the fuck is going on here? No, for real. And so I've been hammering and my doc, my Athletic Greens vitamin D, they sent me for free. Now I'm up to 5,000 IUs a day. Like it ain't good, man. I'm only 51 years old.
So apparently some of us don't absorb vitamin D from being outside. We need supplements like Athletic Greens. I
got to step it up. Thanks to Athletic Greens, I've got my solution.
No.
And that was not a part of the ad. This is a true story. This is like a personal crisis. Y'all are so sympathetic. Thank you so much. y'all are just like, who gives a shit, Lance? All right, George, you're up. top 3 picks of the year.
All right. Well, like I said earlier, it's hard to pick out certain highlights just because the season was so great. So I think JV1 and JV2 did an amazing job. They were also high up on my list, their picks. I'm going to go heavy on the classics just because those are the races that I love the most. My first pick was Mohoric at Milan-San Remo. What he did, not only did he go into this race with such confidence, did the research, had to get approvals with the UCI for the drop repose. I mean, we've done Milan-San Remo. There's a 50% chance that you're going to crash going into the one of the Cipressa or the Poggio. I mean, it's one of the most chaotic, dangerous run-ups to any sections in all of cycling. So for him to just, in his mind, know that he was going to make it to the top of the Poggio and know that he was going to lead the descent of the Poggio, there's not many cyclists in the world that can say that. And I mean, he basically did a Babe Ruth, pointed out to the stands, said, I'm hitting this home run and try to stay with me. And it was just very, very impressive to watch. I don't think we've ever seen anything like it. Yeah. So that was one of the highlights of the year for me by far.
And it'll be interesting to see if it sticks. If it was just, I guess, of course, we'll know in late March, but and we are going to talk, by the way, JB, I know at the end of the show, you want to talk about Milan-San Remo because we're going to be in Merced, California for George's Gravel Fondo. And we're going to do actually a live podcast that day. We'll, again, talk about this later, but covering Milan-San Remo. So we'll all be looking for how many dropper posts are out there.
Yeah. Didn't he call that, George, like a year in advance? He started planning that moment.
I don't know if it was a year, but I know that, I think, Johan, you mentioned he told Pogacar or somebody before the start, like, hey, be careful if you try to follow me down this descent.
Yeah. I think he had been working on it for a long time, but nobody knew about the dropper post actually until he showed up at the start. Some of his teammates didn't even know until they saw his bike. But of course, they were sure that was going to be an advantage. And as you say, he had to have the approval of the UCI, just making sure that it was allowed.
Yeah. Okay.
And then my second pick, of course, my favorite race of the year, Paris-Roubaix. Watching Dylan Van Barlo right away with 18 kilometers to go solo with, the best classic riders in the entire world, not being able to cooperate fully to get him back. Obviously, a couple technical issues right behind him, but he rode away from the best in the world. Not before that, he got second place in Tour of Flanders, so obviously on the top form for the classics. But he wasn't really on any of our radars for the win of Paris-Roubaix. So for him to ride away from the best in the world.
I mean, it just left you speechless, didn't it, George?
Doesn't get any better than that.
We had a little break up there.
You guys lose me on that one?
Yeah, but it worked out good because it was so impressive, this performance, it left you speechless, we said.
Yeah, I actually, on the Trades and Transfer show, I called Dylan Van Barle actually the transfer of the year.
Agreed.
I think, it weakens Ineos tremendously. And imagine having Van Barle and Wout van Aert together on the same team, plus Christophe Laporte for the classics. That's unbelievable strength for that team.
All right, G, number 3.
Number 3, I got to go with stage 4 of the Tour de France. Goes in line to what JB2 pick was at Paris-Nice. When Jumbo rode away from everybody, they did the same exact strategy on the climb that we weren't expecting much to happen. A lot of the sprinters thought, what, even if we get dropped, we'll probably make it back. Wout van Aert rode away from them all, dropped the best climbers in the entire world, including Pogacar, including his teammates. And then not only that, but soloed away for the next 10 kilometers with the strongest team in the world trying to bring him back. It's just an exceptional performance and has to be my highlight of the year as well.
Yeah, that's definitely up there. I agree.
Right. Just toying with the field. All right. I'll jump in here. Last but not least. I just think it's not so much a performance. You said this, Johan, you sort of stole my thunder there, but I think Annemiek van Vleuten is certainly the rider of the year. And I'm not talking about in the women's field. I'm talking about across the whole sport, men, women, road, mountain bike, cyclocross. It doesn't matter, right? Track. What she pulled off in a calendar year will never be done ever again, right? Think about this. She won the Giro, the Tour, the Vuelta, and the Worlds. That's so she is the overall rider of the year across all the disciplines and genders. So just incredible. And towards the end of her career, I mean, this is something that we were talking about motivation. I mean, imagine, and if you look at, you're talking about Valverde's annual kilometers per year, she might even ride more.
She's up right there, definitely up there.
Many will say that she rides more than anybody in the world, which is just nuts to think about, but just so exceptional. All right. Number 2 for me, Filippo Ganna, riding almost 57 kilometers an hour, which, now I think I love this part of the hour record. Now I think we're finally this place where it's like, all right, let training and science and technology all intersect and just say, you know what, because it just as a reminder, there's been these periods where the UCI said, nope, it has to be done on a traditional bike. It has to be done with a traditional position. You can't have that. And now we're to this place where you talk about F1. Now it's really an F1 effort, right? You're seeing, you rode a 3D printed bike. The skin suit was, such a cut that you couldn't even stand up in it. And just managing all of these different things. So 57, but just put that in your pipe and smoke on it for a minute. I mean, 57 kilometers an hour, that's for an hour. Folks, if you're out with your buddies this weekend, just try going 57 kilometers an hour for just, 30 seconds. Let me know how that feels. And now you got to do it for an hour.
And on top of that, Lance, he confirmed that I think 1 or 2 weeks later at the World Championships, he broke the 4 kilometer world record standing start, 3:59. I mean, that's constantly at 63, 64 kilometers per hour for 4 kilometers. That's I think that's probably, it's obviously not road racing, but it's up there with the best performance of the year. It's crazy to think, close to 57 kilometers per hour. It's gonna it takes a huge athlete, and it takes the resources, and it takes the energy and the time and the money this is not just a guy who's in top shape who goes and attacks a record. This is a whole project of months and months in the makings. And I think, the special thing about this is that we saw a few weeks before, one of his staff members, one of the engineers, broke the world record. And then 2 weeks later, it's part of the winning Team GB, in the World Championships of the team pursuit. This guy, Dan Bigham.
And the other thing about the hour record, not that I've ever even tried it.
You did. Lance, you did.
I didn't try it. We thought about trying it, but this is the thing: it's obviously physically very hard to ride that fast for that long, but mentally on the track, I think and everybody says the same thing. Anybody that even tries it, whether they break the record or they don't, they get off and they say that was the worst hour of my life. Yes, it's physically hard, but mentally having to stay in that position and you can't get up and stretch your back and look around. Like, you have to essentially sit still for 1 hour on the limit. I mean, that's the thing that everybody says, like that was the worst hour of my life. I don't ever want to go back.
Yeah. Imagine that's exactly what I was going to say, Lance. Imagine that what your neck and lower back must feel like 10, 15 minutes in. At least if you're doing those same kind of watts on a climb, at least you're able to get out of the saddle. You can move around. I mean, it's completely different, effort. So that's one gear, fixed gear. You're not able to move an inch.
No, I'd rather be waterboarded than try the hour record. I'm serious.
We could arrange that.
Call my boy Tim Comerford. He's done that to people. I said, "You a fucking nut. You waterboarded somebody?"
Let's do it. Let's do it on the show in July. Waterboard land.
Yeah. All right. My last pick for the year is, and it's not my last pick because I have an honorable mention. I know I saved that for the end. That's maybe why I put myself last, but I do have an honorable mention. And these almost kind of tie together. But my third pick is having a teenager finish on the podium of a Grand Tour. We were talking about this earlier, these young kids, how they've come in and they just approach the sport differently, and whether, some of them are going to get burned out. And right. And we've talked about this many, many times on this show. Like, it'll be interesting to see what some of these 20 and 21-year-old stars look like at 30. The game may completely change, right? In our day, you had to be 27, 28 to win a Grand Tour, and you had to kind of pay your dues and serve your time and maybe pick the classics early in your career. That's done. Like these young kids, but Juan Ayuso finishing on the podium of a Grand Tour at 19 years old. By the way, this was a pick a year ago from the boss, Johan Bernil, said, watch this kid. So folks, when you're, looking forward to the, who's coming around the corner, listen to one guy. That's Johan Bernil. But I think it speaks to that's unbelievable. A teenager, right? 1 year out of being, in the younger ranks, finishing on the a 3-week race. Mm-hmm. It's exceptional.
For some perspective here, why don't each of the three of you tell us your biggest notable win and how old you were?
Well, Lance obviously.
I won the world championships at 21, but that's a different, and that's young, right? It was one of the youngest ever.
Yeah.
But a 1-day race is not comparable to a 3-week stage race, a hard 3-week stage race with all the elements and managing, your teammates, the tactics, avoiding crashes. But still 21 being world champion, Lance, you had back then, you had the distance, the bad weather. I mean, it is exceptional. It was exceptional back then. Well, thank you, Johan.
Well, I mean,
what about you guys, George?
I was going to say, you can't have Lance go first because anything like that is really.
Nobody was saying anything. It was just dead air. I thought you maybe your internet busted out again, and we could. I was like, all right, I'll say something.
I can't even mention my first win because I'd be embarrassed after Lance's, world championship.
My whole point was for perspective.
My first pro. You guys are gonna laugh. Like,
what was it like the Somerville Criterium or something?
No. Tour West Virginia, my first year pro.
We were talking about.
That's what I said. George. And then two stages of Tour Luxembourg, my first year pro. Not bad, but nothing compared to Armstrong.
Okay. Well, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Wasn't bad.
Yeah. I didn't win anything in my first year as a pro. I had to wait for my second year as a pro when I think I won a stage in Tour de l'Avenir or something. Things have changed so much. Back then you really had, as you said, Lance, you had to be 25, 26 to come to maturity and be able to claim those victories. I think also, like, the guys nowadays, it's like they come into professional cycling and they make no mistakes in the race. They know how to race. When we turned pro, we had no clue. We were not used to ride in a team, and we didn't know anything about team tactics. And these guys know everything. They're already part of a super professional development team normally, which is part of the world teams. So it has changed a lot, and we're going to keep seeing it more and more. There's more and more riders who skip the under 23 category, and big teams are watching out, and they're like 16-year-old, the son of Oscar Freire, is amazingly good here in Spain, and he is 16 years old, and he was on the training camp with UAE.
Wow.
Just last week.
Okay, JB, what about you? What was your first big win? Go ahead and tell us.
Believe it or not, I've never won a bike race.
What? It's not too late.
I've been top 5 here and there. Cat 3.
JB, we have to work on that.
Come on, man.
Just couldn't get away, man. Couldn't get away. I was working for college all the time.
I was just going to say we have to reverse the roles, and
JB,
college needs to work for you.
Get to the front. What the fuck? That crosswind coming up, man. I'm gonna win I want to win the driveway tonight. It's a big race series in Austin for those that don't know. Okay, can I get to my honorable mention? My honorable mention: Enzo Hincapie, 2-time national champ.
Awesome, thank you.
Huh? I mean, it was special. We all, and a lot of y'all lived it with us. You know, we were, it was during the tour and we were talking a lot about it, and these are big results, man. I don't think any of us are surprised, but kid can race.
I just got a cool picture of him winning the crit. I could send it to you guys after the show's over.
Post it up we'll put it in the edit. We'll put it up on there. Cool. I say that, I'm like, yeah. So Colton surely can do that. Just snap your fingers and have pictures appear. But oh goodness. Anyways, we're going to talk about a couple of more interesting things before Johan has to bounce. But before we do, let's talk about the ice barrel and I just have some questions, okay? Because I saw your Instagram post yesterday, JB. There's some of that stuff we just don't need to see. Obviously, you got to, get the ice barrel, really cold water, ice, and you got to get in it with not much on. I just don't know if the whole lead up was necessary. You walking around in your skimpies in the yard.
The world needs to see this body. Come on.
Well, you're seeing a lot of this whole phenomenon on the internets, and it's for real, right? I mean, cold exposure is a game changer, whether it's for recovery, whether it's for performance, mental clarity, certainly a big part of it. Our friends at Ice Barrel have made it just a lot easier, right? People can try and get in their bathtub or build an ice bath at their house. Obviously, that's a little difficult to do. But this one's interesting. Allows you to sit upright, right? Which makes the whole experience a little easier. It looks good, doesn't take up any space, and it's lightweight. And if you guys have any questions about how this is supposed to work, you just go to JB Hager's Instagram and you will see everything you need to see. And I mean everything.
I bet you're gonna see these at race finishes in the pros because of the portability, right?
Well, I remember days where these teams would fill up these little kiddie pools and dump some ice in there and have the guys sit in there just to cover the legs. This is
we had a truck full of those little kiddie pools that we'd go in after every stage of the Tour de France.
We should research that photo. That would actually eclipse JB's Instagram post yesterday. George in the kiddie pool. He probably still had his helmet on. Anyhow, we've all worked closely with Ice Barrel, and we got $125 off for you guys and gals. It's a game changer. You just got to try it. I think everybody that comes away from this experience, while it can be difficult at the start, right when you get in, it's not easy, but everybody says the same thing. It's a game changer. Head on over to icebarrel.com/TheMove. Use the code TheMove. Gets you $125 off. Again, that's icebarrel.com/TheMove, the code TheMove. All right, before we let Johan go, couple of updates, right? JB, I think you
I got to know, talk about honorable mentions. I know you were catching up with Jan Ullrich in LA just a week or so ago.
Yeah, about a week ago. Tell
me about that. He seems to be doing well.
Listen, we talk about things we talk about a lot on the show. This is one. Look, it's a journey for him. And, but this is the best I've ever seen him. And when I say best, I'm not talking about on the bike or fitness wise, just in his eyes. Right. And he and Mike Ballniger were out in California. I was out there for some work. And so we synced up. We went for a great ride. I took him to a Lakers game that night, we surprised him. He didn't know. He was like, he was a little jet lagged and he's staying down in Newport Beach. And he was like, all right, well, we did the ride and had lunch and I'm going to head back. And I'm like, fuck, he's ruining my surprise. So I had to tell him. I was like, no, you can't go back to Newport. I got a little surprise for you. So it took him to the Lakers game. Played our good buddy Blake Griffin's Boston Celtics. But it was awesome. He's again, fingers crossed, but I think he's very healthy.
By the way, this just came out and I just dug into it.
Yeah, Daniel Freeba's book. Yeah. Freeba's a good guy.
And yeah. I just always, on a side note, you don't judge unless you really understand where someone came from, and you forget where he came from and how difficult it might have been growing up in
terrible.
The Eastern Bloc, the east side of the wall. So anyhow,
I complain about Plano all the time. It's a shithole.
Well, that's accurate though.
It is accurate, but not for the three people from Plano listening to this show. I'm sorry, but it is a dump. But yeah, and Amazon has a new documentary coming out on Amazon Prime about Jan's life. So that, and I think it will take a really deep dive into not just the man, but where the man came from, his family, his early teammates, et cetera. So I think that comes out next year. So check that out.
Yeah. A couple other things I did want to mention. If you haven't listened to it yet, the Trades and Transfers show, Johan and Spencer Martin break down everything that's happened, to the end of this season and the last few months. And it really gives you some perspective on what to look for with team strength going into the next season. And then they break down who were the biggest winners in the offseason and who were the biggest losers. Great show.
I tell you, that Spencer Martin, that Johan's the smartest guy in the sport. That Spencer Martin is, man, Johan, you better keep training, because that dude, I'm legit. I'm not kidding.
I need to be careful with my info. I have to dosify the information I'm giving to Spencer, because
he knows the game.
Catching up.
Yeah. Okay.
One other thing worth mentioning: our gift guide is out. It's not just stuff that's in our store that we make and produce. It's a lot of our favorite things.
Stuff we like.
Yeah, we're getting down to the wire here, and if for the holidays, if you want to pick up somebody for your cycling buddy, there's some good ideas in there. And another thing worth mentioning too is the Hincapie Fondo Gravel Fondo in Merced, California is coming up. If you want to join us there, we'll be doing a show there as well, covering Milan San Remo. But I think it's going to be cool just to be up there for a gravel Fondo.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Excited about seeing you guys. Excited about doing a live show after San Remo, which
in a historic theater in Merced too.
No, it's
right?
like we'll feel like we really made it. It's like we're not like at the local gymnasium. I mean, I haven't seen the theater, but apparently it's gorgeous. So if y'all are there for the ride, certainly come down for the show.
Yeah.
And if you haven't thought about going to the ride, then you should. I better start training. But is there a short, George? What's the shortest one they got?
No, you got to do the whole thing, because we got to be on the same page.
No, I will do the whole thing. I'll do the whole short one.
15 miles is the short one.
No, I can do more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When is that? Late March. So, and it's actually the Fondo is the same day as San Remo. So we better queue up the DVR so we can watch it as well.
Yeah.
See how many people have dropper posts. All right, Johan, you got to run. You got daddy duty. So
I know. Yeah. Sorry. I'm in a hurry.
No, it's all good. Anyways, hey, everybody, seriously, happy holidays. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a hell of a 2022. Looking forward to 23. And again, happy holidays. Have a great day.